Welcome back into the Martin Houston Show. I would say good morning, and I'm gonna say good morning. I start every show off by saying, "This is a day that the Lord has made, and I will rejoice and be glad in it." So I am still, despite it being Monday morning, all morning long. This would be one of those times where I would be lined up, ready to knock the freaking teeth loose of the guy on the other side of the ball, right? Okay. This may be absolute the worst morning I think I've ever had on a radio show. But thank you for hanging in there with me. I'll figure it out. And as I said, I will continue to work to get better. I apologize to you. You deserve better than what we've given you this morning, uh, from top to bottom, and so I apologize for that. Let's just hope that the Alabama Crimson Tide doesn't come out against Middle Tennessee, or especially against Texas the way we came out of the gate this weekend. This morning, in terms of the show. I apologize. Audio not working completely on both sides. So some of you heard the audio clip of what Saban said. Some of you didn't. So we're not going to comment on it this morning. We promise you Kennington Smith. No Kennington Smith this morning. So I will. In football, they have something called an audible. You plan, you make your plans, and the Bible says you make your plans. God order your steps. I don't think this was God. I think this was the devil in the audio. So I'll adjust it. We'll go from there. I really do think that this Alabama football team has a chance to be special, and I'm going to circle back to the quarterback position and a conversation I began to have on Friday. On Friday, I began to make the analogy, and this was after one of the callers talked about this team reminding him of the T. Martin led Tennessee team. And I spent a little time thinking about that particular team. That team was coming off of Tennessee's golden haired child, meaning Peyton Manning. Remember, let's think about that team for a little bit. Tennessee had gone a long time without beating Alabama, and then they got Peyton Manning, the savior. He comes in, and boom, man, things are going to be right. Peyton Manning is on the heel, and Tennessee is going to be good. And man, they may even climb the mountaintop and be a national champion and going to have a Heisman Trophy winner. And boom, neither one of those happens. But the next year, they got this young quarterback, not a great quarterback from Alabama per se, athletic kid, but not anything to write home about, anything that everybody like, yeah, okay, when this guy takes over, this team is going to immediately be right back where they were at. No one was saying that. But because of Peyton Manning, they had to manage to recruit some really good talent around him. And that talent didn't all leave when Peyton left. Now, Alabama may be in a very similar situation. They have managed, they had some talent when Bryce came. I think they lost some talent um, because of Bryce in the way they had so much talent that some of the receivers left. But I think they have a really, really, really talented wide receiver room. Let's look at some of the talent, specific talent by position around this quarterback room. You have from the wide receiver position. Now, I know that you may be saying, well, Martin, we don't have the four guys, we don't, guys. You can have talent and not have four first rounders. Okay, I'm not saying we have Judy and Ruggs and those level guys in every position, but we might have not what might we have a few studs at the wide receiver position. But I think we have some other players too that may be good. Ja'Cory Brooks is not a bad wide receiver. I think Ja'Cory Brooks. He's not a slasher or a speedster, but I think he's a good wide receiver who is a possession guy and a big talent. Ja'Cory Brooks. Jermaine Burton, they need to put him in his right spot. I don't think he needs to be. Don't try to make him uh, the guys who were before. Let him be Jermaine Burton, and in Jermaine Burton be Jermaine Burton. And I think that Jermaine Burton has, from what I've heard, got his mind right. That's one of the things that our CEO says a lot. Get your mind right, get your game face on. I think Jermaine Burton has dedicated, understanding that this is his senior year. This is his last chance to impress for the next level. So I'm making a bold prediction today that you're going to see Jermaine Burton as a guy whose game goes up a notch, which is good for a young quarterback. And then Isaiah Bond coming on strong at the end of last year. I think Isaiah Bond is in that Mechie, uh, type of body and frame. I think he's a guy who we're going to see some special plays out of, which is going to help the young quarterback. Kendrick Law is another guy. I think Kendrick Law, we may see Kendrick Law touch the ball more than just in a receiver standpoint. Don't be surprised if we don't see Kendrick Law actually have some run plays. If you think back to how Lane Kiffin used Amari Cooper when we had Blake Sims, don't be surprised if Kendrick Law, um, Debo Samuel, San Francisco 49ers. Uh, how, Speaking of that, how many of you would like to see some of that San Francisco 49ers type offense? Think about the San Francisco 49ers offense. Noah, did you watch the 49ers any this year? I mean, that's the guy. Purdy was a guy, not a great quarterback, like Mr. Irrelevant, who took them almost to the promised land. Just happened to run into a really, really good Eagles team that I think could have and should have, in my opinion, if their coaches had made the proper adjustments or could have matched the halftime adjustments of uh, the Chiefs, they would have won the Super Bowl. So either way, let's talk about. Let's go ahead and get the break here. We'll finish that on the other side, talking about the quarterback position and why I like this team just from a quarterback and the wide receiver standpoint of what Alabama can do in terms of the Kendrick Law. Maybe we can see some of that San Francisco 49ers style offense. Would you like to see that? Would you like to see that style offense here in Tuscaloosa? Would that make your day? Would that make you feel better? We'll talk about it, get a little bit more of that right here on the Martin Houston Show with Martin and Xavier, powered by MaX Sports. All right, welcome back into the fourth and final quarter. Man, we've had some blows this morning. The team looked like it was going to suffer a loss, but it looks like looks like we were able to get a couple of turnovers and turn the game around. So we're going to finish strong, finish this fourth quarter strong. It's the Harvest Church 2 minute warning where we love God, love people. Come check us out on Sundays, 9 a.m. Sunday school, 10 a.m. worship in the Word. Wednesdays, meal at 6, and worship in the Word for youth, children, and adults at 6:30. Great time, great church, and love to have you come be a part. Come on and be a part because everything's already ready. So, but anyway, it's a great Monday, and we promise to keep getting better. And thank you so much for hanging in there with us this morning. Couple people told me it's technology, man. It is definitely technology, and that's part of doing, live radio. And instead of butchering the press conferences and stuff like that, we'll work in the Tommy Reese and Kevin Steele press conferences throughout the week. Those guys I think are going to be absolutely awesome. I'm hoping Tommy Reese has talked to the guys over at the 49ers. I love to watch the 49ers in the way they play. Maybe we can have a little bit of that offense. You saw the 49ers with a great defense, a game manager, quarterback in Purdy, and Mr. Irrelevant, a Debo Samuels type wide receiver, a couple good wide receivers, and a really, really good tight end, which we'll get to that conversation. Maybe we can find us one of those or two of those types of tight ends. And then this Alabama team becomes really, really, really good. Uh, you know, you know, so we're gonna see that, and that was one of the things that Tommy Reese said, and Curtis Moore the second talking about that. He's gonna gear the play call into the player's strength. Um, the and one of the strengths is I think that Law, and that's what I was talking about earlier. 5'11", he's probably two. He was 201 last year. He's probably 205. Thick, kind of thick bodied guy. I mean, I think he can be a game changer. A guy we don't talk much about that I'm really pulling for. I would love to have seen him stay at running back because he can flat out take the top off of it. But maybe they'll use him at the wide receiver position to take the top off, and that's a guy named Emmanuel Henderson Jr. So watch for his name. 6'1", 185 coming in, but he's probably a little bigger than that now. He has top end speed, so look for him to be a guy who can stretch the field because that's what we're going to need. And Shaz Preston is another one of those guys, a redshirt freshman who can take the top off. And a guy that I saved for the last of the wide receiver room is Malik Benson. Malik Benson, I think from I've met Malik a couple times. Malik is a game changer if his on the field matches his off the field. And I know that sounds crazy. We know he's talented. Uh, and you may be wondering, well, why do we get Malik Benson from junior college versus why was he not as sought after, or why did people not want him as much coming out of high school? We just got another guy in the recruiting world that I think is going to be like a Malik Benson. And the reason we got this young man straight out of high school versus JUCO, talking about William Sanders, is he played at Brookwood. William Sanders played at Brookwood. Small school, doesn't win a lot, runs a run. They don't have a great school and great. They're not the Hoovers, and you know what I mean. They're not the IMG. They don't get all the love, so they get under recruited. Well, Malik Benson played in an offense where they ran the ball probably. If they ran the ball 10 times, if they ran 10 plays, they ran it 8 plays. maybe 9.5. And so he just didn't didn't get a chance to develop as a wide receiver. He was more of a blocker. Okay. Now think about that for a second. He was more of a blocker. So he comes to this team with something that I think has been missing. No one ever talks about this. To me, what made Mark Ingram great, not good. Mark Ingram was a good running back. But what made Mark Ingram great, and call me up, text, tweet, whatever, and disagree if you want. What made Mark Ingram great was number 8. And number 8 set the stage for all the other wide receivers that was here while he was here. Was Julio Jones and his willingness to block. Think about how often we used to have long runs, breakout runs, and how seldom we have long runs now. I mean, think about how seldom with these great we have some unbelievable wide receivers, man, and I wouldn't trade them. I wouldn't want to get rid of them per se, but if you're going to run the ball, you have to have guys who are willing to block, willing to not just catch the ball. And we haven't had great blockers. Not that they weren't willing to block. I just don't know if they've had the body and the frame. Malik may be one of those guys that's big enough, strong enough, mean enough, bad enough to do that. But he also has the speed, the talent, the hands, the route running to be in that category with them as a wide receiver and as a blocker. So I think Malik Benson has the ability to be a game changer for Alabama. And so when you add all of those guys up, all of those wide receivers up, the guys I know we lost some wide receivers, but I think it was Ryan Williams who said it, who was a kid in high school, who said sometimes these guys leaving because they're scared of competition. I think he was just letting us know that the guys who stayed, they're legit. And so we have 5 or 6 really, really good guys that in 2 years, we're going to say, wow, the guys who stayed were really good. And if Tommy Rees lives up to his press conference that he's going to use the strength that to the players, then we're going to be okay with the quarterback position when Milroe wins the job. Now, here's a question I want you guys to noodle on over the next day or so. Will the 3rd or 4th team running back be the starter by the end of the year? I'm sorry. They will not be the starter. Will J&J get the lion's share of the carries? J&J being Jamar and Justin, not Jace. But will J&J get more carries than J&R? Will JJ, how about this? Will JJ, Justin, and Jamar by the end of the year be getting more carries than JR, Jace, and Roydell? That's a question. Because I think that the style of game we're going to play, we'll call for it. We'll talk more about it. Thanks for hanging in there with me. Right here on your home for Alabama Sports, the Martin Houston Show with Martin and Xavier. We'll add DC to the conversation on tomorrow. Remember this, trust in the Lord always, lean not your own understanding. In all your ways acknowledge him. We'll add some audio. And he will direct your paths. And we'll add some audio from Kevin Steele, Tommy Rees, Nick Saban, and from you. We'll get all of that worked out for tomorrow. Thank you for doing what you do, helping make us the best we can be. It's the Martin Houston Show, the sound of Alabama Sports, your show, your team, the fastest hour in sports radio. Have a great day. Roll Tide out there, everybody.